greetings to all the audience. And in Brazil, good morning. There in Turkey, good afternoon. And first of all, I'd like to thank Harran University and Dr. Darlan and Alaskan and Ramesh Sharma for this invitation. And I will prefer to read my presentation, okay? I'm Professor ALFREDO Matta from Universidade do Estado da Bahia in Salvador, Brazil, okay? And well, I will read my presentation, okay? Our job starts from the understanding that we live in a network society, okay, where virtualities are capable to manage the encounter and the sharing of cognitive constructions to be mediated by needs and common practical constructions, okay? The contemporary education kept developing the need to enable students for critical and complex procedures more and more through interactive process of collaborative nature. It turns even more potent and applicable knowledge design-based Vygotsky. Then it is a Vygotskian work. Taken by this conceptual perspective, since 2010, we began the work about the virtual museums and its application in education. The museum's collections is interpreted from a collaborative context idea, the visitor, and the possibility that they be provoked to the dialogue and interaction by the worked context are the most important part of our museum. The subject of this study is how to develop social-constructivist education museums. Well, we use design-based research. Okay. Now we have a sound there. Okay, wait a minute. Okay, it was here. Sorry. Then, we use design-based research. We have 4 phases and that kind of research: contextualization, elaboration of the principles to consider for the solution, modeling the solution, and attendance cycles, evaluation, and remodeling. Then we are building the museums in cycle of modeling, evaluation, then the project never finished, okay? We are always working with museums. What more? What is our work with context? As I told you, we construct context to collaborative building and interpretation of the applied context recognized by the participants. Well, we work all the time with the participants. Our museum is a collaborative work between the research team, the academic team, the scientific team, and the people, the community that are implicated into this work, okay? The second phase, the principle. We use the principle. One of them is Socio-Constructivist cognitive design. It has work that I've made some years before, a procedure of cognitive planning of the solution to build not only applied to the virtual museum, and that it is used to project the characteristics of and cognitive organization of the virtual museum in subjects. According to the social constructivist cognitive design, the designer of an education digital workmanship needs to worry about on projecting his virtual museum. We need to project contest, collaboration, mediation, interactivity, metacognitive diversity, and content related to the contest. Then we will develop the 6 points in our project of museum. Beside the social constructivist base, each virtual museum needs to work one or more principles relative to the content of the collection. If it is a museum on religion freedom, maybe it should contain and adopt a principle of interpretation of the human rights. If it is a museum on the slavery, maybe it should have a principle for understanding of the African diaspora, or of interpretation of the racism. If it is a museum on neighbor of a city, some understand on this city, then it is common, this kind of theory of conceptual analysis in our principle. So there is also always a principle of theoretical approach on the solution and the digital technology, and it was adopted for the solution that seems to be the suitable one. And this way, it adds a technical format to the museum. At the end of this conceptual study, the researchers gather a group of theoretical and conceptual principles ready to be used and gathered in the construction of a practical solution model of the museum that intended to assist the needs understood in the previous phase, the one of contest. Okay. Okay, and now the next. What we call a modeling of the museum, it also includes the construction of the digital local solution on the Planet Museum. In this construction, it is necessary to decide if the digital support will be, for instance, built in 3D modeling, or it web-based on pictures or other kind of organization. But beside the digital technical definition of what will be built, it is important the construction in collaboration with the implicated community. Then we dialogue with the community all the time, even to validate the technology we will use. Well, okay, and having as a goal to assist what was obtained in the context of the first phase, such as the organizational model and of the collaborative interaction of the museum, okay? We have 3 types of result when we built this museum. First of all, a practice applied and useful solution of virtual museum under ownership and community control of implicated authors on the problem solved by the museum and subject. Process and contributions to the theoretical and conceptual principles used by the modeling and put in test field and improvement by the operation of the museum. Qualification and preparation of the involved subjects of the many authors we learn, and they are enabled in the pertinent dialogues and in practice of use and presentation of the virtual museum. Then we have three results, okay? The solution, the advance, and people preparing, okay? They are able to manage the museum as them museum. I don't know if my English is okay. In Brazil, we speak Portuguese, but let's go. Well, then we brought to you, for example, this is a museum about an old theater in Brazil, okay? In Salvador, Bahia, Brazil. The theater, Teatro São João, it was the first theater in Brazil. They built this in 1808, okay? The 19th century, the beginning of the 19th century. Now this museum is no more here, it is down. They put down this old building. And then we made a museum, modeling 3D museum, and people can visit again the old museum, okay? What we have done there. The contest then was a study that helped in the construction of the design of the theater, its characteristics and social presence. At the end, we had an interpretation and a script of the collection about the theater, memorable shows, important moments, characteristics of the building, the interiors, the relationship between the theater and the city, and finally, a set of data on the localization and neighboring spaces of the theater. We have an involved community, admirers and researchers of the theater, of the Faculty of Music, of the university, historians, and interest of the subject in the city. Then, more or less 200 people participate of this constitution. We use Socio-Constructivist cognitive design, conceptual notions about virtuality, virtual museums, organizations, and 3D modeling for Windows systems. The museum is visited on the client computer, and the data is stored in database on the server for learning, later modeling. We are modeling all the times new version depending on the dialogue with the visitors, okay? Well, we have some authors. Maria Antonia Gomes was my doctoral student, and Professor Ramesh Sharma was with us in that study. Me and Lucas Robato he is a professor of the music school and one specialist in the history of the theater, and the community and visitors too now. The result, The Teatro São João Virtual Museums continues being much visited and used for education 4 years later, the productions, okay? If you want to visit, there's the link to download. It is other example of museum, okay? It is a museum about Quilombo community. I don't know if you know what it is. A Quilombo is an old community of free slaves. I don't know if I talk correct. Slaves that run from the situation of slavery, okay? And it was in 3D modeling too. Well, what is the context? Here, the study context referred to the history of the occupation of a now urban area from the city of Salvador, but which in the 16th century, beginning of the colonization, had as a characteristic a dense forest full of rivers and water, and that little by little he was taken by blacks fugitives from slavery. A quilombo, it is what is a quilombo, an area that brought together remaining indigenous populations, that fugitives, perhaps some white or poor mestizos. The region became inhabited by quilombos. What, sorry? And was urbanized with quilombos ancestry. Involved community. There was the participation of some artisans of the neighbor, students, teachers, mães de santo, it was a kind of sacerdotes, okay? And a lot of popular participants, okay? Technical solution, we use socio-constructivist cognitive design, conceptual notion about virtuality, virtual museum, 3D modeling for Windows system. The museum is visited on client computers and data is stored. It is the same solution than the one before. This museum was projected by the now Dr. Luciana Martins, my colleague from Bahia, Francisca de Paula Santos, and all one community. Here we have more than 2,000 participants in this building, okay? I think what I like more about our techniques is the fact that we share the authorship with community. The community, they are authors too, they are owners of the museum, okay? We have this link if you want to visit and download the museum. Okay, here is other museum. It's not a 3D modeling, okay? We made a web page about an old and traditional African Brazilian temple of an Afro-Brazilian religion, okay? We have a lot of collections of photographs. It is really big collections and a hierarchical organization. Then you can visit and get a lot of information about the science, the religion, and about what they work there, what they doing there. Okay, and this contextualization, the main researcher of the team, Dr. Eudette Costa, now she is doctor, okay? She was in a total immersion in the, well, I don't know if, let me see the message. Oh, I will talk after about the the URL, okay? Okay, and okay, in fact, she integrated the Amburasho temple, also considering what concerned the religion faith and the execution of the precepts and corresponding mysteries. In other words, there was since the beginning a total integration of the main researcher involved with the implicated community and its context. Okay, the community involved was the community of the Amburasho temple, something about 300 people. Technical solution, we use socio-constructivist cognitive design, conceptual notion about virtuality, digital organization of museum with hierarchical access to web page. The museum is online on a web page now. Here is the main authors, Ildete Costa, my colleague Francisca de Paula, me, and all the community, okay? The result is a digital museum is in full operation, articulating the relationship between subjects in the community and their visitors. It is the link, okay? About the museums, you will download the museum in that page I gave you. This link here, okay? The other here are links to download, okay? It is a, well, it is a page web. You could visit, just click here, just clicking here. Well, the last museum, the last one, is a museum about school experience. Okay, we have a big specialist in education. We respect a lot. This one, this guy here, he called Anísio Teixeira. We think he was the father of the modern Brazilian education. He was the one who constructs the mainly structure of our learning educational system. Even the high education and basic education, he was the one who projected the system in the 50s, okay, in the 50s. Then we've made a museum about that. What more? Contextualization. Our contest tried to understand the project of the school amid the difficulties of the Brazilian society modernization and of the own subjects of the history of the republic of the country. And they study on the Escola Park important historical characters of the dialogue emerged on the school and of the dialogue with Anísio Teixeira, that big educator I told you. These characters were considered fundamental for the understanding of the contest. It is therefore a contest centered on a person and his relationship. Then it is different from the other three. The two initial models, they are more generally a history of a general theme, you know. I don't know if I'm explaining. It is more general. The second one is specific. The other one, before this, is specific about a temple and a culture. And this one is centered in one person, the Anísio Teixeira person, okay? The community of teachers, students, and staff at the Escola Parque and Bahian educators are the community here. Technical solution adopted, we use Socio-Constructivist, cognitive design, conceptual notion about virtuality, museum virtual, and 2D modeling, simulating 3D, low cost and Windows Android operation. Well, it is because we have it is in Android, okay? You have an app you can use to visit this museum. The authors, we are Ednei Santos, now doctor, me, and Francisca de Paula, and the community and visitors. The museum is in full operation and carry out the third cycle of application, evaluation, and remodeling. You can visit here, okay? And this link here. Well, this way, we think we are contributing to join knowledge in this research field. At the same time, we are in the direction of the one that we thought is a collaborative and citizenship society shared in network. I hope I contributed to the discussion of the topic, and thank you all for the attention. And here, I end by wishing everyone a good event and being open to question and interaction if you wish, okay? My email, thank you very much.